The year is 2015, and the Wii U is not selling well. Sure, there have been some good games, Mario 3D World, Smash Brothers, but it's been a while since Nintendo came out with an original, all-new game, and that's when Splatoon came along. It sold nearly 5 million copies and reached a pretty big active multiplayer base, one person of which was me. So naturally, when it came to the Switch being launched last year, there was pretty much no doubt that Splatoon was going to somehow make it onto the system, and sure enough, in late last July, it did. Hello everybody, YoshiGuy64 here, and I honestly love Splatoon 2. It's one of my favorites that's ever come out, and even though it's been almost a year since its initial launch, I really just wanted to get this review right. So without further ado, this is my official review of Splatoon 2 on the Nintendo Switch. Let's take a look. Splatoon for new players is a pretty easy to understand game, and as someone who hasn't played a lot of shooters and is constantly confused by the ones I see, this game I picked up pretty quickly. The game has you go through a simple tutorial in the beginning, and it covers all the basics while also letting the player explore a bit and get used to the physics of the game. Tutorials can honestly be super annoying sometimes, and while yes, this one does take its time to move on to the next segment, you can move on as slowly or as quickly as you want, and you can figure out how to utilize things like controls and physics really easily. That said, once you move on from the tutorial, it's goodbye forever as you head into the main game. If you played the original Splatoon on the Wii U, then you're probably already familiar with Inkopolis. This area acts as your home base in the game, and you can pretty much get to any mode from there. But with Inkopolis Plaza, everything is given a fresh, get it, new look, and I really like it. It definitely feels a lot different than in Splatoon 1, but to be fair, design in 2017 was also a ton different than design in 2015, and to be honest, I like design in 2017 a lot more. Either way, Inkopolis Plaza basically looks like the outdoor shopping center you wish your town had. It's got shops to buy shirts, hats, and shoes for your Inkling. Oh yeah, by the way, that's what you're playing as. We'll get to that later. And these clothes will be important in a second. There's a place to link up two Switches in close proximity wirelessly and play an arcade game that I really never played, and some other things scattered around the map. Obviously though, the big giant building right in the center of your screen is where you want to go. This will take you to the lobby. This is where the gameplay starts to happen. Automatically, your cursor will be set to the Turf Wars option, and this is also the one that most people play. Your character can hold various weapons, whether it be a shooter, a bucket, a brush, etc., and they all require different playstyles. And yes, that basically makes this video game painful. You can choose which one you want to use as well as your clothing. Depending on what clothing you pick, you can level up abilities, which essentially make it easier to play the game. After scrolling through the options menu for 30 minutes for the sole reason of making a perfectly color-coordinated outfit, it's time to choose your mode, the most notable being Turf War. In this mode, you're Inkling, a character that can transform from a human to a squid because Nintendo can make it happen and so they did, attempts to, and here's the interesting part, shoot the floor. Yes, it seems really dumb, but it's actually super clever. Well, yes, you can technically hurt your opponents, it's less of an issue and more of a strategy as they get sent back to their own spawn and are forced to restart. This gives your team more time to cover more turf, and ultimately whoever has the most area covered at the end of the battle wins. I love playing Turf Wars, and while they do make up the standard mode of the game, they're a ton of fun to play. Every battle is completely different, and the fact that groups are made at random gives the game a consistently changing atmosphere that's interesting every time. But if you do want to try something a little more challenging, you can try Ranked Mode. Ranked mode gives a little more of a goal to the Turf War mode. I like the idea of a specific challenge, riding a tower until it hits a goal, playing football with clams, or taking control of a specific zone. They're not the only modes that make up Ranked, but I do like those ideas a lot. Ranked mode also, shockingly, has a ranking up system. For each battle that you win, you earn points. Once you reach a certain amount, you can level up, and recent changes that have expanded the level barrier have allowed for even more time to be put into the modes. Personally, I don't always play Ranked, but it is a ton of fun when I do. Its variation, League Battle, is also cool, allowing people that you friended on your Switch to join in with you as well. But besides that, there's also Private Battle. Private Battle allows you to let a group of friends join a lobby and customize teams and rules. It's not always a ton of fun if you don't have a bunch of people there, but it's fun when there are. And yet, despite all the different modes Splatoon 2 already offers, there's still one left: Salmon Run. Salmon Run was a big deal when Splatoon 2 came out. It's not every day that these games get completely new modes, but this was a great addition to the series. In Salmon Run, hordes of enemies begin to attack your team of 4, and the goal is to collect the treasures they leave behind while defending your team. It seems pretty simple, but as you begin to rank up and get better, it gets significantly more challenging, and it takes a fair amount of strategizing to win. When the mode first came out, a lot of people had the problem that it would only appear at certain scheduled times, found mainly by checking Nintendo's online app. But for me, I really never had that problem. It seems like it's usually on nowadays, and I've rarely had trouble with timing. So, obviously, the core of Splatoon 2 is really located in its online mode, but what if you're not connected to the internet? What then? Splatoon 2 single player is a lot of fun, and more in-depth than its predecessors. Spanning across several different worlds are all kinds of levels utilizing Splatoon's various physics. It's really amazing to explore all of the worlds and find the access points to all of the levels, which are hidden too, and the levels are pretty well designed. That said, I did find some points to be pretty slow, and as someone who loves going as fast as possible in single player modes, I wasn't super thrilled about that. But I did like the storyline, which has a lot of mystery and is also a kind of continuation of the original game's story. It doesn't mean that newer players won't necessarily pick up on Splatoon 2's story elements. They're still there, but if you played the first game, it really helps a lot. Splatoon 2 is honestly one of my favorite games of all time. It's easy to pick up, but takes plenty of time to master. Because it uses the online service, it's a ton of fun to connect with a bunch of players from anywhere in the world. And it always kept me coming back too. Every little while, Nintendo will hold an event called a Splatfest, where teams pick a side based on a topic and battle to see which is better. It's a ton of fun, and if the topic is interesting enough, it's a great way to bring players together. Or tear them apart. I don't know. All in all, Splatoon 2 was a wonderful addition and sequel to the original game. Nintendo has really outdone themselves here in terms of both content and style, and it's a game that will continuously keep me coming back. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time for everything nerdy and Nintendo.